I never thought I'd be the kind of man sitting here, writing about betrayal. But life has a way of stripping away your illusions and leaving you raw with the truth. My name's Daniel, I'm 31. And for 3 years I thought I had built a solid life with my girlfriend, Jessica. To the outside world, we looked like the perfect couple. Weekend trips, movie nights, plans for the future. But what people didn't see were the cracks forming underneath. Cracks I kept ignoring because I believed love could patch them up. Jessica had this habit of being overly protective of her bag. At first, I brushed it off as something personal. Everybody's entitled to their privacy, right? But it wasn't just privacy. She carried it around the apartment like a second limb, even taking it to the bathroom sometimes. I'd joke about it, call her my bag lady, and she'd laugh, but her grip would never loosen. Something about it gnawed at me. I didn't want to be the suspicious boyfriend, but instinct is a hard thing to silence. One night while she was in the shower, I finally gave in to that instinct. I unzipped the side pocket of her bag, hands trembling with the kind of guilt that makes you hope you find nothing. But instead, I found something that made my stomach sink, a box of protection. Brand new. Unopened. It might not sound like a big deal, but here's the thing. Jessica and I had stopped using them months ago. We'd had long conversations about trust, about taking the next step. And she was the one who insisted she wanted closeness without barriers. So why the sudden stash? I held the box in my hands for a long minute, my heart pounding. I could have confronted her right then, but a darker thought crossed my mind. If she was hiding something, maybe it was time she realized I wasn't blind. So, I did something I never imagined myself doing. I poked holes in every single one of them. It wasn't revenge exactly. It was more like a desperate move to expose a truth I was terrified to face. If there was someone else, it would come out soon enough. For the next few weeks, I lived in a haze of paranoia, watching Jessica's every move. She grew more distant, spending late nights working, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. Every smile she gave me felt rehearsed, every kiss a little colder. And then a month later, the news dropped, the kind of news that leaves your chest hollow and your world spinning. The news came on a quiet Sunday morning. Jessica sat across from me at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug she hadn't touched. Her eyes darted everywhere but mine. And I knew before she even opened her mouth that something was coming. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice trembling, "I'm pregnant." The word should have been the happiest I'd ever heard. For years, I'd dreamed of being a father, of building a family. But instead of joy, I felt my stomach twist into knots. The timing was too perfect, too suspicious. My mind flashed back to that box in her bag, the holes I'd poked, and the lingering thought that maybe, just maybe, this child wasn't mine at all. I forced a smile, pretending to be happy, while my insides churned. "That's wow, Jess. That's big." She reached across the table, placing her hand over mine, her eyes glistening with tears. "I know it's a lot, but I think this could be a blessing." Her words felt hollow, like she was trying to convince herself as much as me. And then I noticed something else, fear. Not the nervous excitement of a woman sharing life-changing news, but the dread of someone caught in a web of their own making. That week, I watched her more closely than ever. She was cautious, almost calculating in the way she spoke about the future. Whenever I brought up names, plans, or even doctor's visits, she changed the subject. She was stalling, and I knew why. One evening, I caught her in the bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed with her phone pressed to her ear. Her voice was low, but I caught fragments. "I can't tell him yet. No, he suspects. Just give me time." My chest went tight, anger clawing its way up my throat. I wanted to storm in, demand the truth, but instead I stayed silent in the hallway, listening as the pieces clicked together. Jessica wasn't just hiding something, she was hiding someone. The next day, I confronted her gently, hoping she'd come clean. "Jess, are you sure this baby is mine?" Her face went pale, and that silence, that awful, suffocating silence, told me everything. She didn't deny it. She didn't cry or argue. She just sat there, staring at me with wide eyes. And in that moment I knew the truth I'd been dreading. Jessica had been cheating, and the baby she carried might not be mine. The silence that followed my question was louder than any scream. Jessica's lips parted, but no words came out. I felt my heart pounding against my ribs, each beat harder than the last. Finally, she whispered, "Daniel, I made a mistake." A mistake. That was the word she chose for shattering my trust, for turning our entire future into a question mark. My jaw clenched as I waited for her to continue. "It wasn't supposed to happen," she said, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It was only once." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Don't insult me, Jess. Once doesn't get you pregnant." She broke then, sobbing into her hands, her body trembling. "It's Mark," she confessed. The name hit me like a hammer. Mark. My so-called friend. The guy who had been around for barbecues, who had stood in our living room laughing and drinking beer with me while he was secretly sleeping with my wife. Every memory of them together, every shared smile and inside joke, twisted in my mind like knives. I wanted to rage, to scream, but instead I sat there cold, my voice steady in a way that frightened even me. And the baby? Her silence was my answer. From that moment, something in me snapped, not in chaos, but in clarity. I realized she had gambled with everything we had, and she thought she could still manipulate me into carrying her lie. But I wasn't going to let her. I didn't explode. I didn't throw her out that night. Instead, I played the part of the supportive husband while inside. I built my revenge. I went with her to appointments, smiled for the neighbors, and even held her hand when people congratulated us. All the while I was gathering proof, texts, call logs, bank statements. She had transferred money to Mark more than once. It wasn't just an affair. It was a betrayal built on lies, secrecy, and stolen trust. When I had everything I needed, I waited until her birthday. Friends and family gathered at our home, the living room filled with laughter. She stood there glowing, believing she had fooled me, believing I was still the man who would give her everything no matter what. That was when I raised my glass. "I want to make a toast," I said, and the room quieted. Jessica smiled at me, unsuspecting. "To my wife," I began. "The woman who taught me that trust is fragile, love is conditional, and betrayal can grow right in your own home. And to Mark, my good friend, who showed me exactly how far deception can go." Gasps filled the room as I laid it all bare, every detail, every secret she thought she had hidden. Her face went white, then red, then pale again as the walls closed in around her. Mark didn't even show up that night, coward that he was. By the time the party ended, Jessica was gone, her bags hastily packed. I didn't stop her. I didn't need to. I had already won. Because the truth? The baby wasn't mine, and I refused to raise the product of her betrayal. I had lost a wife, but I had reclaimed my dignity. And in the wreckage she left behind, I found something far more valuable than her lies: freedom.